This is the Philadelphia Community Meetup for ModPoPLUS. Crowdsource close reading, HD's Sheltered Garden.
Let's look at the title, Sheltered Garden. So let's first ask about that first word, sheltered. Sheltered. What are some meanings for sheltered?
Protected.
Hidden. Could be hidden. Let's think about the social space for a moment. What does that mean to be sheltered?
Taken care of. Well, that might be a positive sense of being sheltered.
Innocent, inexperienced.
Innocent, inexperienced.
Not allowed to venture out.
This is kind of what I'm thinking of. There's something about limitation in sheltered, isn't there? Right? Now let's put that first word, sheltered, together with the word garden. And I would now like to turn to Reverend John Adamczak and ask, John, going back to the beginning of Western civilization, what is the first sheltered garden we find?
Eden. And what happens there? What happens to us in Eden?
We eventually have the knowledge of good and evil.
Eventually, but is that something we have while we're in the garden?
No.
So what has to happen? What has to happen, Rebecca Bell, to get that knowledge?
You have to transgress the boundaries laid down for you. The sheltering that you are given, and you transgress that, and suddenly you're out of the garden.
What's that first line doing?
Okay, so the first two lines, the first little kind of mini stanza, we have this first person speaker, and the first two lines, I've had enough, I gasped for breath. They're the shortest lines in the poem, actually, and they kind of introduce this idea of limits, but this time not the limits imposed by the sheltered garden, the individual speaker's own limits. I have had enough, and this line actually is repeated in the third stanza, right at the top, I have had enough. So it's an important concept. That is it, I've reached my limits.
I want everyone at the table to try, or a couple of people at the table, let's say the line. How do we feel? How do we say the words, I have had enough? Mary, how do you say that when you say it?
I've had enough.
Terry.
I have had enough.
I have had enough. Alright, I'm acting. But then we go from that point to I gasp for breath. What's happening with breath and gasping there?
Well, the speaker is saying that whatever environment he or she is in is suffocating her, we'll go with her, making it impossible for her to exist here, oppressing her, putting her in it's harming her.
Right.
And then that leads to the next stanza.
Before we go there, I want to ask about breath. Why is it important for a poet?
Breath is that she's run out of breath. She's been climbing up and down this hill and she's not getting anywhere. She's had enough, and she's, it's like a jogger. Okay, I'm done. It's almost like it's part of the fight.
Right.
So against these borders of walls and shelter walls and.
I'm dyslexic and I look at the phone and go, oh, I grasp for breath. Oh, no, I gasp for breath. But then I thought, I wonder if in some sense she's also grasping for the poetic breath. She's looking for a poetic breath that might enable her poetry. Because there's something about this sheltered garden which has been the limit to her. All right, so let's move on to that next stanza. We get to every way ends, every road.
So we read this as the sheltered garden is a formal garden. It's like an Elizabethan garden. It's one of these that's designed for ladies of leisure to get out of the house and to walk around for their exercise, which obviously they don't get very much of. They're not supposed to be going anywhere. They're just going out, they're walking, and they're walking for the sake of walking. They're like animals in a cage, they're pacing.
Prisoners and that.
They're prisoners. But every path that they walk down, and you know this from walking around walled gardens yourselves, you know, you walk down a path and you find, you know, that it loops back and you end up where you started, and you try another one and that loops back to where you started. You're not supposed to go beyond the limits, you're just supposed to walk around and around. And actually I feel that it's quite sedate, this kind of walking around. It is like an animal pacing a cage. Which also, I think that the gasping for breath is not because of physical exertion, it's because of suffocation and kind of constriction of that. More of kind of a panic feeling or a fear feeling than actual physical exertion. I think because she's being made to walk, but she's not getting anywhere.
What does this word precipitate mean?
It has two different meanings.
Well, let's talk about that.
Well, I think the thing that we immediately think of is precipitation. So something falling down from the clouds. That's kind of the verb
Right.
to fall from the heavens or from the skies. But it also means to do something with great haste, to do something without thinking maybe of the consequences, to do something something that brings about a bad consequence, to precipitate, I guess, violence would be one possibility.
Does it imply steepness to, like a precipice?
You know, there's something in that word that brings us to absolutely to the edge of a big, tall cliff, and what are we going to do? And I think she has an agenda here. I think she has something she wants to do, and it isn't to jump off the cliff, but to see it, to see the place where the land and the water meet, and to look at what grows there, because it is different than what grows in the sheltered garden. Border pinks, clove pinks, wax lilies. Well, H.G. is a poet, especially in the Images period, who uses recursive language to come back, almost like a scientist, to find all the subtle shifts of repetition. And those words sometimes can make us feel claustrophobic, right? Here, the border pinks, clove pinks, and then we get wax lilies. Where do we usually find wax? Outdoors? Indoors, right? And very important, especially in earlier times, that that's where we would get our illumination from. But it's a very kind of limited illumination, just as much as a wax cabinet could give us. But what she's looking for is a different kind of illumination entirely. Well, she's playing with that Keats line here, and what is she looking for? Not a beaker full of the warm south, but
A storm, a sharp swish of a branch, something to mess up the perfectly rowed gardens of these little border pinks.
She wants the taste of wild nature. She wants nature as it is, before it's been cultivated, before it's been changed into the purely decorative or the purely ornamental. She wants the dangerous nature. She wants dark ecology. Coarse weeds, not pretty flowers, not, the never-ending pink, because I think that's what that repetition does as well. The repetition of the word pink, and obviously the word lilies, which is kind of simultaneously beauty and death. So it's, beauty and stasis, and wax similarly. She does not want that, she wants reality, in all its kind of ugly splendour.
have you seen fruit undercover that wanted light? God, that sounds so sad, doesn't it?
This was the first moment that we saw her shift and address a you. We've had an I in this, and we're not sure if it's us as the reader or if it's a you in the poem, but I'm taking it to be us as the reader, and she's drawing us in by saying, have you seen fruit undercover that wanted light? And you've got that word want, which means that lacked light, but also desired light, because they're covered up to keep them from from ripening too soon or to protect them from the frost. So in this unnatural way, and they're not yet ripe, and they've been preserved in this sort of semi-ripened state.
Almost right. Almost right. Is there anything more painful than being almost right?
Being smothered in straw.
Oh no, I don't want anyone here to be smothered in straw.
Which brings back that gasping for breath in the sense of not being able to breathe in suffocation.
Absolutely. So what do we get instead, Stephanie? What does she want us to do instead?
He would like us to let things happen naturally.
And where does that line happen in the poem?
Why not let the pears cling to the empty branch? And then she's pointing out that the coaxing, the artificialness creates a bitterness. If they're allowed, let them cling, ripen of themselves, test their own worth. And then the next lines, even though it sounds like it's difficult, it ends fairly. So, nipped, shriveled by the frost, fall at last, but fair with a russet throat, which sounds like just how it should be when allowed.
Or just to bleach yellow, to not even shrivel, but just to turn this this color that's that we don't like a melon that's yellowed and is tart, but that's better than to taste a frost.
And then
It's better.
Oh, it's better to taste a frost than, I'm sorry, and then,
Than nothing.
well, actually then something really great, something really disgusting that Stephanie thought of.
I was thinking of her as an imagist poet and how this isn't so much that, but it is. When I read the line, then wadding of a dead house, I think it started with the wax lilies, but then the wadding, I saw a corpse with the wadding cotton in the mouth. We do.
Yeah, that's right, you're a nurse. Yeah.
The frost could make these pears really ugly, but actually when they fall, they have a russet coat. They are beautiful. They are strong, and that makes them beautiful. And that is obviously a figure for HD as poets. That's a figure for any kind of freedom within relationships of any gender. It's also kind of her gaining her voice. It's about liberating yourself, I think, from constrictions.
The oppression of the feminine is very central to this poem. And the idea that there should be a definition of beauty that is beyond, the pink flound and embraces a more fully lived life.
Okay, I want to bring our attention to something disgusting in this poem. Okay? And I'm absolutely sure, well, I think HD wants it to be there. She writes, "For this beauty without strength chokes out life. I want wind to break, scatter these pink stalks." Okay.
First time I read that, I was wondering what.
So what is, what is wind breaks? What does that bring to our minds?
I think she means she wants the wind to break things, to scatter these.
She does. She does mean that. What else does she mean? We all know it. Come on, let's get it.
A good fart.
She wants a good fart. Right.
That's the first thing I read into it when I read it. It's like, when to break a real thing.
And given her aesthetic here, and given the fact that she's embracing a natural world, can we have a natural world without farting, belching?
Nope.
Natural byproducts.
Right, absolutely. It's all part of the experience. If we're going to want the world and really see it and be part of it and capture it, we have to accept ourselves. And we have to accept. I know you want to say something, Rebecca. Go on.
There's a slightly more disturbing reading, which I might just present, and then you can knock it down.
We don't knock down here.
You're thinking about the flowers as being figures for the body of women. And HD is embracing the kind of the wild nature aesthetic, and she's saying, I am not these border pinks, I am a sharp swishing branch, I am proper nature, I am pine noodles, I am this. So the women that are the decorative border pinks, she is essentially murdering in this stanza. This beauty without strength chokes out life. So these women around me, who, are not embracing the essential life or just, sitting there looking pretty, they are choking my life. I would like the wind to break them, to scatter their stalks, to snap off their spiced heads, fling them about with dead leaves, spread the paths with twigs, limbs broken off.
Right.
So it's limbs, it's heads. These are, almost personified flowers. And when you're already thinking in terms of the feminine body, she's envisaging violence towards other women because they're threatening her sense of self.
I can imagine that she's only one generation removed from, either her mother or her grandmother's generation, where everything was this Victorian language of flowers, where every flower has some sort of symbolic meaning. And, besides the wadding on their dresses and, that kind of protected, sheltered lives, there's also, this very, this emphasis on the garden as well as their sanctuary. So there's a lot of rebelliousness in this poem.
Sense of, the question of where's our dignity in all this, and I just think it's a really powerful idea. Where it really is, dignity is so important, and that's like we have to show it. We have to be there.
And there's a rage against the dying of light. I mean, it's the fight and the scars and the battering and the twisting, and there's its own beauty. It's a heroic dimension to standing up and fighting back, struggling.
Rather than being in the pink all the time.
I mean, it's in the struggle that there's the beauty. And the result of the struggle, even the scars and the twisting and the battering.
It's like the beauty of the aging. We were discussing that before.
Well, talk about it.
Well, there is a beauty in aging where you lose your pink, and you're no longer this cherub, and all this, experience. You start getting lines of experience, and and that's really.
Dave, are you saying this is going to happen to me?
No, not to you.
You got another 40 years to go. You're good.
It doesn't happen to Alan. I don't know about you, but Alan's
This is so relevant, though, to our society. Where we want to cover all these wrinkles up and little scars, and we walk funny, whatever. And we house away older people. It's a crime.
Yeah,
It's a terrible thing happening in our society.
Well, in ModPo, we do not hide away all the people.
No, I know that.
You know what we do? We say education is so much sweeter when we let everyone sit at the same table.
Right.
Oh,
you don't have to be 18 to 21.
No, that's great. That is great. It's so democratic.